Hi everyone, today we're going to be doing our second lesson on measurement, and today it is all about customary units of capacity. Students should be able to estimate with customary units of capacity. So, what is capacity? Capacity is a measure of the amount of liquid a container can hold. I put several pictures of containers that can hold liquid. So you see there's some small containers, like maybe this hydro flask here, maybe even smaller is this balloon, and then we start to see larger containers for a drink and a bowl, and then a bathtub, and finally a pool. So I just wanted to show you different containers so that you can be thinking about the amount of liquid that could be held in each one. Because when you measure the liquid in these containers, you're not going to use the same unit to describe how much liquid is inside. The next question is asking, what are the units of measurements that I will use when measuring the amount of liquid? So yesterday you were talking about measuring length, and you used words like inches and feet and yards. Well, for measuring capacity, you're going to hear words like cup, pint, quart, and finally gallon. So these are the main words that we're going to talk about today, thinking about measuring liquid volume or capacity. So here are some more images to help you understand, and I've put them in order from smallest to largest. So first is going to be cup. So when you're making recipes, you might need to measure a cup or even a half a cup or 2 cups. So that's a measuring cup there that holds 1 cup. Next is going to be a pint. So this container of milk holds 1 pint of chocolate milk. Next is a quart. So this container here is holding 1 quart of orange juice. And then finally, gallon. So this large container of milk measures 1 gallon. I just wanted to give you a few more examples. So obviously the cup is the smallest, but sometimes when you're making recipes, you're going to maybe not even use a full cup. So sometimes we use fractions or pieces or parts of a cup. So I wanted you to know sometimes you might even say 1/4 of a cup or 1/2 of a cup. And then on the right hand side here, this is 1 pint. And just for making a connection to something you already know, if you've ever remember getting these containers of milk at school, maybe even restaurants, this is not a pint. Sometimes people think that's a pint, but this is actually half of a pint. And this is half of a pint. So that's why I put 2 of them here, because you would need 2 halves to make this 1 whole pint. All right, and then here is 1 quart of orange juice. Now, it might be hard to tell in this picture, but this is kind of a tall, skinny cardboard container. And this one over here is different. This is actually a half gallon. So this right here is a half gallon. And that you would need 2 of these quarts to make a half gallon. So just because it looks kind of like a cardboard container you might be familiar with, I want you to know that a quart is different than this half gallon container. So here's a half gallon and here's a half gallon. So put those together and then you have a gallon. So thinking about all of those units, I just want to quickly talk about some of the containers that hold liquid and see if you can figure out what unit would you use to measure the liquid in these items. So maybe just take a second and pause the video and write 1 to 5. And then next to it, your choices are, you're going to either choose cup, pint, quart, or gallon. And I wrote this in order from smallest to largest. So what I want you to do is write down number 1 and think about, how would I measure the amount of water to put in my fishbowl? Would I measure that in cups, pints, quarts, or gallons? So go ahead and write 1 to 5, and then I will tell you the answers. Okay, so I wrote the answers of what I think would be a reasonable unit of measurement for each of those. You notice for fishbowl and snow globe that I wrote both cup or pint because it kind of depends on how big it is. And honestly, I don't really hear people use the word pint very often, except for when they're talking about drinking liquids. So for the snow globe and fishbowl, I would tend to use the word cup. All right, and before you close this to go watch the other video or start on your practice book, I have a problem-solving challenge question related to measurement. So if you want to try to solve that, and then down at the bottom, I wrote, if you're one of the first 3 people to email me with the correct answer, I will just give you a shout out on the class stream so everyone will know that you completed the challenge and were successful. All right, have fun. See you later.